Hi everyone, let's talk makeup, and today I have a review of the BareMinerals BarePro Performance Wear Liquid Foundation. These names are getting very long. But yeah, so this is what I'm wearing right now. I do want to start off with a quick demo, so let me go to that and I'll come back after. Alright, let's try the BareMinerals BarePro Foundation. So usually I do about a pump and a half on there, and then today I'm going to go in with the beauty sponge, and this is the Fenty Beauty one, and I'm just going to first apply it with my fingers. This is how I've been liking applying this foundation because it's a little bit more watery, not as thick. I feel like my fingers do a good job of that initial application. Alright, then I'm going in with the beauty sponge and kind of spreading that foundation and blending it into my skin, and it does do a really good job. I actually really like this foundation with the sponge and with a brush. I don't have a preference in terms of method of application. It is because it's not as thick as other full coverage foundations, I feel like it is easier to work with than other foundations. So I'm just going to go in with a little bit extra right there. It is buildable, like I'll show you. I'm not going to do too much more, but I'm going to put a little bit more like on my cheeks, and then buff it in. So it is buildable, but I wouldn't recommend doing a whole lot of building with this foundation because it's also very easy to cake it on. Alright, so that is the full application, and I'll be back with the full face. Alright, so as you saw, this is quite a liquidy foundation, and it is a pretty full coverage foundation. For me, this is full coverage, and I have quite a bit of acne scarring. I have hyperpigmentation. I have a few issues in my skin right now, and this to me covers it all. This to me is comparable to the Kat Von D Lock-It Foundation and the Estee Lauder Double Wear, except that this is more liquidy than those. The Kat Von D and the Estee Lauder are thick foundations, so I tend to prefer using them with beauty sponges. This one, on the other hand, because it's more liquidy, I have had a lot of success using a brush, using my fingers with it. It just applies very, very nicely with any of those, whereas the thicker foundation, I just prefer the beauty sponge because those will kind of make it easier to spread out and apply on the face. So this has really nice application. It is a foundation though that you have to be a little bit careful with because it is very easy to get cake face with it. Right now I just have the foundation and obviously contour, blush, highlight on my face. I don't have any setting powder on it. I find that it's not a foundation that needs setting powder. Now I have oily skin. I have very, very oily skin, so it is very rare that I find a foundation that I don't have to set. I am used to setting my foundations, but whenever I try out any new foundation, I always try it every way I can think of. And this is one that I wore without setting, and it lasted all day. It lasted me my 14 plus hour days. And so this has become really a holy grail foundation. I don't know how I will ever not have this foundation in my collection because it does the job that I like from the Estee Lauder and the Kat Von D, but easier to apply, right? Easier to apply. It still covers up all my issues on my face, and it's nice wear. It's really good foundation. I really like it. The color match right now is a good one. I'm wearing mine in Teak 22, but they have a pretty good range, BareMinerals does. I went in and got matched at the BareMinerals store, So I know that this one matches me right now. So very nice foundation, long wearing, full coverage. Now, like I said, I have very oily skin, like not just oily in my T-zone, oily everywhere. And this holds up. At no point do I need to touch up or kind of blot out the oils. Never do it during the day. For that reason, I don't know how this would work on normal or on dry skin. I think you would have to be careful with those. Make sure you're really moisturized if you have those different skin types, because usually foundations that work really, really well for me tend to not work that well for dry and sometimes even normal skin. So if you have a dry or normal skin, if you've tried this foundation, let us know down below. The last thing with this foundation is that because it is a full coverage foundation, at the end of the day, you have to make sure and really remove it. Otherwise, you end up with a lot of foundation on your face as you're going to sleep, and that will break you out. It will break you out. So I know that is something that I was warned about when I bought the Estee Lauder foundation. No one warned me with the Kat Von D, but I figured out that I needed to have a really good makeup removing routine with those foundations. And so do whatever you have to. I typically remove my foundation and all my makeup with a makeup removing wipe, and then I go in with cleanser and I use my Foreo to remove all my foundation. And anything that's left, then I do go in with a toner, and that process seems to work really well to remove all my makeup and remove this foundation. If you're just going to go in with a makeup wipe, you're going to leave some foundation on. That's going to plug up your pores, and it's going to it is likely, if you have sensitive skin, I think, to break you out. So I really want to warn you about that with this foundation. Otherwise, if you have really oily skin like I do and have been looking for something that's not as thick as the Estee Lauder, it's not as thick as the Kat Von D, and it's cruelty free, I think you should give this a try. I mean, go to Sephora or go to BareMinerals and get a little sample of it and see if it'll work for you, because it's worked really, really well for me to the point where this is now holy grail, and I am thinking of just chucking my Estee Lauder. I've been working on it, panning it. I'm about right here, but because it's not cruelty free, I know I'm not going to repurchase this ever again. So I'm thinking about just chugging it and like moving on with my life from that foundation, even though that is one of the top foundations that I compare all other foundations to, because of how well it worked on me. But not anymore. I think this holds now the top spot. The thing that I didn't like about Estee Lauder and the Kat Von D, was the thickness of it. That for me was really easy to get kind of cake face with it, and that still holds true for this because it's not as thick. It's just easier to work with. So just an FYI. So that is it for me. Let me know if you've picked up the foundation and what your experience has been. That way we know kind of what the range of experiences with this foundation is. But yeah, that is it for me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.